So, Cold Fear. This is an interesting game because for some reason, I always got it confused with Deep Fear, which was a classic Resident Evil clone on Sega Saturn. Don't know if it came out on PS1 as well, but I know it was on Sega Saturn. So, like, back when it came out, I never really paid too much attention to it because for some reason I thought it was just Deep Fear with a different name. I don't know. And also it doesn't help that this game came out when Resident Evil 4 came out, so in 2005, start of 2005. So this game got completely overshadowed by Resident Evil 4. Only people who cared probably about this game were guys who only had a PS2, because this came out on PS2 and Xbox, while the GameCube got Resident Evil 4. Yeah, this is sort of a spiritual successor to Deep Fear, let's say. Developed by it was published by Ubisoft, developed by I don't remember the name of the studio. If you remember, a few weeks ago, I actually made a video asking why is nobody using the gameplay style, the camera style from the Resident Evil 4, beta, so the 3.5 build with the Hookman. Because it had similar to a Code Veronica camera style that followed the character from different angles, but also it gave you the possibility to switch to a third-person over-the-shoulder camera when you wanted to shoot in some occasions. I was asking in a video why nobody is doing a game with this style. It would be interesting, an horror game. Yeah, this game does it, and I had no idea I was like this. It plays pretty much like Code Veronica when you're... sort of. It's a weird mix between Code Veronica and Resident Evil 4 in terms of camera. But the camera follows you around from different angles. So it gives you the impression of being like a classic Resident Evil in that sense. Or at least very reminiscent. But you can also switch to over-the-shoulder camera when you want to aim and shoot, which I think is very interesting because it opens up a lot of different possibilities. It creates gives you the same or very similar atmosphere to a classic survival horror, but it doesn't shy away from also getting a little bit more action oriented when you switch to the camera, to the TPS camera. Even though I have to say, I think if for a pure action game, the over-the-shoulder camera is the better option. But for a hybrid game like this one, which is a bit horror, a bit action, I think it works well. Granted, I think let's talk about more the game in depth. Starting with the story. The story is very simple. There's an outbreak on a boat and on a oil rig, I think on a platform on the sea, where they were studying a certain type of organism. And yeah, there's an outbreak, and these organisms start infecting people. And then a team is called in to inspect it, and it gets wiped out, and then you get you're from the Coast Guard, I think, and then your team also gets a call, and then you go to the boat on the ship to see what's going on, and that's where the game starts. Now the tone of this game is all over the place because yes, it's a horror game, but it also feels like a mishmash of games from that era. So feels like Metal Gear as well. It feels like Resident Evil. It feels like a bit like Dead Space. It also feels like a little bit gives the impression of being. It reminds me of, let's say, of Dynamite Cop 2 on Dreamcast. Don't know if you ever played that one, but it's pretty much the sequel to Die Hard Arcade that was on Saturn and arcades. And yeah, the tunnel is all over the place because it's a mishmash of concepts and games, which it also like makes it feel the kind of game that you see in TV shows when somebody plays in a TV show. Yeah, you see these games that sometimes don't exist, and yeah, this is the kind of game that feels like. Also, feels like a little bit like an arcade game because it reminds me a lot of a Dreamcast game, honestly, and a lot of games on Dreamcast were arcade games. But yeah, what else to say? The graphics. The graphics are pretty underwhelming, honestly. For a game that came out in 2005, yeah, they suck, honestly. The music also is all over the place, like techno music that feels like it should be in an Uncharted game at times. Like I said, the tone is all over the place. Like if you go in by expecting a Resident Evil game, you're gonna be disappointed because it only feels partially like a Resident Evil game. It feels, like I said, a mishmash of other games. Also a little bit of Dead Space, I wanna say. And now, let's talk about the gameplay. The biggest problem with the game, I would say, are the controls, which are not very reactive. There's a half a second delay after you press a button. So they're not very reactive. So don't play this game on hard, like I did. Play it on normal the first time, because it's way harder than it's supposed to be, thanks to those fucking delayed controls. Now, I don't know if it's an emulator issue, because I did play it on emulator, but I don't think it's the emulator. I think it's just the game, because I've read other people complaining about the controls being a bit clunky and not very active. So keep that in mind. The enemies, I don't know, there's not a lot of variety in terms of enemies. Also, they don't look good because, like I said, the graphics are kind of meh. They remind me a bit of the Necromorphs conceptually, but not really. An interesting thing that makes it feel unique is that, at least when it comes to the humanoid enemies, to kill them you have to destroy their head. So it's an interesting concept for a horror game, because if you shoot them normally, like on the body, they will keep getting up. They will stop getting up only when you destroy their head, which I think, honestly, that they should make a mode. They should have a mode in the modern Resident Evil games, at least the ones with zombies, where that's the only way in which you can kill a zombie, by decapitation. Like, they should call it like realistic mode. I don't know, but yeah, they should have one of those modes, because it makes the game more tense, honestly. If you can kill them only by headshots, or at least by heavily damaging their head. And what else? Overall, I can say this game feels a bit rushed, because it feels jank. You can tell they really didn't put much care into it, because also, like, the gameplay feels a little bit approximative. Like, the melee doesn't work too well. Also, like, the melee is the same button as the pickup item button. So if you have an enemy down near you and you want to try to melee, you'll pick up the object that's on the enemy instead of like hitting the enemy that's in front of you. So yeah, it's not very well thought in that sense. This game definitely needed a bit more polish. I mean, it's playable, but yeah, it leaves a lot to be desired in some instances. A couple more things to note, in a negative way, sadly. I will say are the fact that this game doesn't have a proper save system. Like, you can't save whenever you want. It's the game that will save at specific points in the story. So unless you get to that specific point in the story, you can't save. So you will lose your progress if you don't. Which honestly is very annoying because you never know when it's gonna be. Even though the saves are relatively frequent between each other, but still. What if I have to stop and I can't save because the game still hasn't decided that I have reached an area in which it allows me to save? It's kind of backwards, honestly. It's really weird to see a game released in 2005 with this with save system. It's not like it wasn't. Like, I mean, saving when you want was a thing that started with at the start of the PS1 generation, I think, if I remember correctly. So it's weird. At least that it was common. Second thing that is worth to note is the fact that this game is very dark in a lot of cases. Sadly, the only weapon that has a flashlight on it is the pistol. So we have kind of like a Doom 3 situation, vanilla Doom 3, that you had a flashlight only on the handgun. But yeah, a lot of the time you'll find yourself not being able to see what the fuck is going on, or at least you'll struggle to. Which can render some sections a bit annoying, honestly. Yeah, it creates my atmosphere, but honestly, if you don't see very well, enemies can easily fuck you up. Let's balance things out with a positive, at least. The weapons, I would say, are nice because there's a decent variety with them. There's a classic pistol, then there's an IK, a shotgun, a decoy gun, then I think a grenade launcher and a flamethrower, if I remember correctly. So there's a decent variety. You get your ammunitions either at specific points in the game, so like armories, but it won't always be possible to go back to the armory. So you'll find ammunitions either scattered throughout the levels or on the bodies of the enemies after you kill them. The thing that enemies drop is random. So when you kill an enemy, they'll drop sometimes something, sometimes nothing. But what they drop varies. I think it's randomly generated. It can be health, ammo, and that's it, pretty much. Now, something... Yeah, I have to mention this because honestly, it's quite annoying. There's no map in this game. I don't know why they didn't put a map, because... Yeah, the area of the game in which the game takes place is not huge, but still, give me a map so I can orientate myself. Because also the first portion of the game, like, which is the boat, is very... All the fucking corridors look very samey. So sometimes, don't be surprised if you have problems trying to navigate the thing because everything looks the same and you're not very used to still to the place. So you don't know exactly where everything, or maybe you don't remember where exactly everything is. Yeah, so it's kind of annoying. Yeah, it sucks, but there's no sequel to this game, so the formula got never refined and nobody else ever picked it up again. So it's a real shame because now we only have pretty much like horror games that are either a copy of the classic Resident Evils or a copy of the modern remakes of Resident Evil. Nobody else really try to branch out in this sense and like maybe do something different like this one or the Resident Evil 3.5 version. But no. But yeah, this is it. I just wanted to make a short video on this game because I thought it was really interesting. And it was, I mean, it's a very overlooked game, honestly. I don't think it has ever been even re-released on modern consoles. So, do I suggest trying it? Yes, but like I said, go in with very tempered expectations. Don't expect a Resident Evil clone because it's not. Feels like a mishmash of various games. It can be fun, but also can be very frustrating in some instances. So, like I said, play it on normal. So I just wanted to make a video on this since an horror game, and Halloween is very soon. Also because I've been streaming it, so check out my archive if you wanna see some footage, some gameplay. And yeah, thank you for watching, guys. If you like the video, subscribe, like, comment. Let me know if you've played this game, what you think about it, and if you're interested in, if my video made you interested in this. And yeah, so hope you have a good Halloween, a good rest of your day, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye bye, guys.